Good morning, Facebook, Twitch, and the YouTube. How's everybody doing this Friday morning? As always, you can chat with me. Just go ahead and type in there and it'll pop up on the screen. Whew. So, last night to be specific, I cheated with some bacon crusted pizza. And it just, marketing and advertising is a funny thing, but they got me, right? I was like, I gotta have it. Gotta try this new bacon Little Caesar pizza. And I feel like dog doo-doo this morning after eating that. And so I know better. I know it's not going to make me feel great. It tasted pretty good. It was alright. A little weird. Sounded better than what it was. But I had to have it. And, yuck. I just don't feel very good today. And of course, I did that to myself, so yay. But I'm still up and at it this morning, ready to go. Even when I don't really wanna. And that's kind of the point of what I'm doing here and the commitment that I'd made to this Monday, Wednesday, and Friday ride. I did that a lot. A lot of this is for myself. And really, it's just to force myself to get on my bike and ride even when I don't want to. So today's an example of that, where I don't have all the motivation in the world to do what I'm doing, but because I made the commitment, I'm doing it. And and I've done this long enough now that I realize that about 30 minutes in, I'm going to probably feel alright. I hope. Most mornings I'll actually, before I get on screen, I'll actually get a little bit warmed up and do a few things just to get ready for the ride. And yeah, I didn't do that today. Did mess around with the camera a little bit just to get the settings a little bit different. But on Wednesday we switched over from my old setup, which was a Canon Vixia RF or HF R400 with an Elgato game capture. It's called the Camlink device, over to a Logitech C922X webcam. And the reason I give you the specifics of the hardware that I use is because if I just said webcam, of course you would think you just go out and buy anything and you'd do one of two things. You'd either overspend, or you would and buy the most expensive one, which you don't need to do, or you'd buy the cheapest webcam, which also doesn't have the same capabilities. What I like about this Logitech setup is that you have the ability to zoom in and move things around a little bit with the camera. And so why that's important for filming is that, as you can tell, I have a green screen behind me. And the green screen's never going to be perfect. And if you use just, let's say, the cheapest webcam option out there, you wouldn't have the ability to crop things in very easily. You wouldn't be able to zoom in, and so it wouldn't work. That simple. I am probably, if I was to guess, I'm probably 8 foot. I was trying to see if I had a tape measure anywhere close, but I'm probably about 8 foot away from the camera. So I'm not very close to it, but I'm still able to get a decent, picture and zoom in to the green screen. The green screen I think is like 7 foot wide, 4 foot or 5 foot tall. Nah, I'm not really sure, but you get the idea. I mean, it's a big giant square, almost the equivalent to a sheet of plywood. Woo! But yeah, man, I just was not into it this morning. Did not, you know, I've been up and working for a couple hours already on my my online business, but I don't feel very good. Do not feel good at all. And isn't it funny that we do these things? You know, we love, let's say, you know, the taste of different types of foods. You know, we're somewhat addicted to those foods. So isn't it funny that, but we also know that they're not good for us, and in most cases, long term, they don't actually make you feel very good. You know, same thing can be said for, you know, for some people with alcohol or other things that they may do. So you have this immediate desire or craving to, in my case last night, grab this bacon crusted pizza, because I just had to try it. You know, I'd had long enough, you know, I'd listened to the commercials long enough, and I'm like, I gotta try this. And now I feel like shit today. You know, part of that's because I am pre-diabetic, or I guess the numbers would really say I'm type 2 diabetic. And so that kind of a hit to my system from a carb standpoint isn't necessarily the best idea ever for me. But then because I've eaten pretty good over, for the last few months at least, introducing a lot of those other foods, processed, acidic foods, that's another one of the issues, and I'm aware of that. So just like getting over a hangover, sometimes you just got to sweat it out to get over it. I think cleansing is very important, and I think that is a great way to help clear your body. But getting on any kind of a cardio type apparatus, you know, or even just getting out and running or riding a bike outside, you know, that works well too, as long as you're hydrating yourself while you're doing it. So I have been hydrating myself. Now this is a green bottle, so it might look a little weird when I pull it up, so I don't know what's going to happen. Oh, that worked out all right. So yeah, I got the morning juice rolling. I have switched that up over the last week or so. Oh, great. Got somebody in pink showing off on the ride now. They probably didn't eat pizza last night, by the way. But yeah, for the last few weeks, I've been trying a different concoction that I drink in the morning, and it's no good. It's not doing it. So I'm gonna go back to a different product, one that I used probably a month ago. The one I really liked, and I can't remember the name of the company, but it was this Alaskan blueberry it came in these little packets, I don't know, an ounce or two of this little concentrated juice stuff, and I liked it, but you know, their ordering system sucked. So after failed attempt after failed attempt to get it ordered, and everybody basically telling me it was my fault, I decided, well, one, if it's this big of a challenge, I'm sure not going to recommend it to anybody I know, and so time to move on. And so I searched out something similar, and I didn't notice a difference. I mean, which was a good thing. I mean, it felt like it was doing very similar thing for me, and but I only bought a 10-day sample of it, and when I got over it, I went to something new, which was actually something old, if that makes sense. But the something old was a product from a company I was with years ago, and so I added that in, and it was kind of like their super juice / pre-workout deal, and I don't know if they changed the formula or what, but it's not doing much for me these days. Still doing it, still trying it, but I'm gonna go back to one that I tried about a couple weeks ago or a month ago, and probably give that a little bit longer shot and see how I feel with it. If it makes a significant difference, I'll probably buy another 10-day sample before I commit to anything more long-term, and we'll see. It's got a lot of the same, like, it's very different, like, super fruits from around the world in the concoction, and I don't know, felt good on it. That's all I can tell you. They make a lot of claims of what it can and can't do for you, but by regulation, they shouldn't be doing that. So I'm not going to do it. Because you got to be careful on supplements. The supplement industry is an unregulated industry. However, with truth in advertising laws, you have to be very careful on claims that you make that are not founded, or that haven't been proven scientifically. So let's say that I used a particular product, and then I said my diabetes was cured. I no longer have diabetes, and I've been drinking Juice X, which whatever that is, that I just made that up, and that's regulated. That is a regulated thing from an advertising side, industry, and so you have to be careful. You can't say those things. You can't make those claims. Even if they do, even if you feel better, even if you're off your medication, anything related to saying that what you're using has cured you, and you're advertising that for profit. So even if you're an affiliate of a company and you're getting, let's say, a commission for the sale of that product, you can't do it. If it's used in the sale of any product, you can't make claims. And even if you think you're being a dude because maybe you're not getting compensated, you still can't do it because somebody's being compensated and possibly using that as advertising. So I know it doesn't seem fair to some people, but and you see it all the time. And what you don't see is a lot of these companies getting into trouble, and they're willing to take that fine or risk because they're gaining more through the propaganda. They're gaining more profits than the fines that they're receiving. So some of them understand that part of the game too, where they're willing to pay the fine. So, but just realize it's not something you're supposed to do. If you're using like a weight loss product and you claim, a lot of these people out there say, I'm, even if you say I'm no longer using any medication that I used to use, and you're trying to profit from that, that's actually illegal. So I know you see a lot of people doing it, and unfortunately they don't understand the law and how much trouble they could get into eventually. Same thing with income claims. Not really sure where this is going to go, but since it just hit my brain, we might as well talk about that. You see all these people that are, I don't want to pick on this group, but I'm going to for a minute. You see all these people out there that that are doing, let's say, online marketing, and that's the space that I'm in, where I teach entrepreneurs and business owners how to market their business online, and that's something I do in the background. But I see this group of affiliate marketers, online marketers, network marketers, MLM company representatives, making income claims. And I don't know why they do it. It's so weird to me. Now, have I done something similar in the past? Kind of. I was getting a bonus from one of my companies to drive a BMW, to be specific. And what people didn't know was that it was very misleading the way that a lot of people presented that particular award, a recognition. But you own that vehicle. The company didn't own the vehicle and let you, drive it as a bonus. You owned that particular vehicle. What a lot of people would do is lease their vehicles and then take that monthly bonus to pay for it. And I think they were given like $600 a month towards a certain year and color of vehicle, similar to what I think Mary Kay does with her Cadillac, promotion. Well, the difference between me and them is that I actually bought my BMW. I didn't lease it, so I realized that there's always a chance that the company wouldn't exist long term and that money wouldn't be there, and I'd be better off owning it instead of leasing. And so for me, as the idea of that being a compensation, I think that that's very misleading and weird. I know it's trying to motivate some of the younger people to say, here's what, because they think that's what success is a vehicle. But isn't that kind of weird, right? To show off your vehicle? And isn't that kind of, and even when I did it, and I think I did it semi-soft, because I wasn't a big believer in that being a good message, right? Because all I was doing was just helping people. I was sharing what I was doing with other people and helping them, and there was a bit of a compensation behind it. And over time, with my success, I earned a bonus, and sharing that I was getting that, I think, derailed the message a little bit, because I think it looked, especially when I watched other people doing it, it looked like they had no interest in really helping people. It looked like they were more interested in, earning income off of people. And so it kind of took away from what the real mission was. And so, though I thought I was soft with it, the fact that I even did it is an example of why I think I have a perspective of this idea of sharing your income online as being something you shouldn't do. And again, that actually is somewhat regulated. That's regulated under the same rules. You can't make false claims. So when you see people saying, hey, I made $100,000 in company X, I made $1 million in company X, I did all these things, it's not only is it regulated and really not legal for them to do so, to make those claims without having a very strong disclaimer, which, by the way, that even if it exists, the people they're advertising to never look at it. But you have to have a strong disclaimer saying that my results aren't normal. And there's so much behind that number, And so for some of the people, it's just like a bullshit number anyways. And that's why it's regulated, because it's very misleading. So I've known a lot of people that have, made claims of how much money they make, which, again, super weird. I mean, do you see a doctor going on Facebook and saying, I made $1 million this year? No, they don't do it. They're professionals. Or the CEO of a company that maybe that's public and you know it because of that, but, does your neighbor come out and shake your hand and say, hey, by the way, I make 50 grand, shit, it's weird. So why people do it online, I just don't understand it, I don't know if they're trying to edify themselves or, justify what they're doing, or trying to maybe, it feels like they're just being like, slimy scumbags to me. I think there's a place for it. If you wanted to share with maybe your sales team, the possibility, and you wanted to use yourself as an example, but I think that would be more in a private setting, and that information just like with any sale, would never be given unless it was asked, right? I mean, if somebody asked you in a private setting and you felt comfortable, you know, but even in most cases that still would never have the whole story. You know, I know people that, you know, have earned $20,000 a month in their network marketing company and they were fairly new to it. But that may have only happened one time. You know, their average income might be closer to $5,000 or $6,000 a month. But you never hear them talk about that. They only talk about the $20,000 a month, and that's by definition misleading and weird. It's just weird. I guess that's my point. When people are making income claims, it's just, and putting their money out there, just, it's weird. Now, I'm not saying like if you get a nice new car and you're proud of it, that you wouldn't say, hey, here's my, you know, my big monster truck and I love it, you know, or here's my, you know, we're out having a good time, and, you know, but to say that you joined company X and now you don't work anymore and you have $100,000, maybe if you're very specific and you have a, you know, $100,000 sports car, it's just weird, right? And it's not it doesn't have a lot of truth behind it because people don't know the years that it took to get there. And so even if you recruited somebody into your organization and you started sharing that with them, you know, they're going to think that happened overnight. And for a lot of these people, it's taken, you know, 10, 15, 20 years to get to where they've earned enough income to have the lifestyle they have now. So putting it out there, it is regulated. Be careful if you do it, but also realize it's weird. And just, you know, don't be weird. Don't do it. It's kind of dumb to me. And I'm proud of a group that does it, but realize that, you know, when they're able to get there, if I've had any assistance in helping them get there, I am proud of what they've been able to do, and how they've accomplished that particular goal. But realize that even if Tony Robbins was to mention it, that it didn't happen overnight, right? Tony Robbins isn't making billions of dollars a year because he just decided to start doing seminars a year ago. He started at the basement to get to where he's at today, right? So Tony Robbins didn't get where he was. And I've listened to his stuff. I don't go to his workshops and I don't drink his Kool-Aid too much. And I'm not saying what he does is necessarily bad. I don't have an opinion one way or the other. I like listening to him. But the bigger picture of what he does is, you know, I don't have an opinion because I've never went. You know, and that's funny because he doesn't really do it for me, if that makes any sense. Like, he doesn't truly speak to me yet, in my life at least. And, you know, I always have an open mind, so somebody like that, maybe they will someday. But you also don't see him telling people that he makes $1 million per coaching client per year. That's what he charges. You know, the people that know that that's what he does, they're a little higher level and they've been exposed to that. But the fact that they even talk about it and share that with other people shows that they're not there yet, that they don't quite understand what makes people tick. And we all have to make money. But if that's your only goal in life, you know, when you're in the business of sales or selling anything, you're probably not going to be super successful. You're better off, you know, finding a way to just help other people with whatever issues they have, whatever problem you can solve, and let that be your driving force. The money will come, you know, if you're doing it that way, as opposed to, you know, worrying too much about, you know, trying to just don't talk about the money. I guess we could probably eliminated 10 minutes of conversation just with that. Just don't talk about the money. Don't share the money. You know, somebody asks you, it honestly doesn't. Even when they ask you, I'm not saying that you shouldn't tell them. I guess that's kind of up to you. But for me, the answer is not important to whatever it is you're trying to help them with, right? If they're trying to justify whether or not they do something similar to you by asking the income question, that might be a reason to have a little bit of a conversation. But you have to be careful with it because, again, you know, even for myself, I mean, I've been in my particular game for over 20 years now when it comes to online marketing. And a lot of what I teach is from that experience. And so even if I disclose my income to somebody, there would be zero expectation in my mind that they could achieve that very quickly, as opposed to what they may have in their mind, which is, if he can do it, I can do it. And then they're going to be very disappointed that, you know, there is a lot to be said about having some of the experiences, both good and bad, that kind of build that up. And of course, there's an audience out there too that you're talking to, and it takes a little bit of time to build that audience when you're just sharing whatever it is that, you know, you're into. So, and by the way, that's kind of the best way in the marketing and sales profession. That's really the best way to do it. I mean, you don't want to sell to everybody. You want to sell to those people that are looking for whatever it is you happen to offer. You know, so not everybody needs, let's say, if you're a psychologist, not everybody needs a shrink. Well, some people would say you do, but, you know, they all specialize in what they're good at. And so your audience isn't going to be everybody. I guess that we'll just keep it all simple. This isn't intended to be some kind of mastermind course. You know, it's just a conversation. But, you know, that's getting back to the conversation. You know, that's just a weird thing that people do when they make income claims. You know, it's weird that some of these online marketers and network marketers and all of that, you know, even real estate people, it's just weird, right? Just weird when they put that out there. You know, I don't mind them saying that they're the top 5% salesperson in their industry. It may be implied. If I wanted to do a little background and understand what that meant, then I could probably figure out an average income that they might be making if I was considering doing what they did. But for them to tell me, you know, what they made, I'd say real estate agents are actually one of the other industries that are very similar to network marketers in the fact that they feel, I don't know what they feel. They feel like they have to justify what they do. And so they'll say they were $1 million earner, right? For their company. You see these $1 million plaques all the time. Well, that means they sold $1 million worth of property. And what they're not telling you is that, you know, in many cases, you know, that's only like a $30,000 a year net gain for them after their expenses, if that. So you break that down to an hourly rate, divide that by, you know, 2,080, which is just an average way of putting it. I know they work more hours than 40, but that's kind of the easiest way to put it as a salary, or divide it by 12, or whichever way you want to do it. And but if you're just to look at an hourly rate, $30,000 is, I don't know, like $14 an hour or something like that. You know, it's not much. It's not something that you can. A lot of us would consider that almost poverty, depending on where you live and the cost of living. So it's just weird. I mean, real estate agents are another group that, when they put that out there, I mean, I think it's awesome to say they're in the top 5% or top 2% or top whatever of their industry, but to put any claims of their finances it's weird, right? Even when a company says, hey, we've been in business for, I'm trying to remember how many years this particular company was that I'm thinking of. They'd been in business, I don't know, 8 years, 10 years maybe, and they cracked the $1 billion mark. Well, that was $1 billion of sales. That wasn't $1 billion of profit. They had to pay out their staff, their sales force. I mean, what they made profit-wise, in many cases, a lot of companies, because of tax reasons, a lot of times they didn't make anything. You know, everything was expensed. So there was no profit in the company. And so, again, it's just like, it's a misleading thing where there's a couple businesses or industries out there where it's just weird, right? And that's not even the point. People don't care about that. If you're offering value through your product that you sell, or the service you provide, or the information that you're giving other people, which is also considered a product, you know, that's all that matters. Just keep doing that. You don't need to brag. You don't need to show your fancy car. You don't need to, you know, and I think we all kind of fall in that, like, we've got to prove that we're, you know, prove our worth almost to other people. And I don't know, just don't do it. Stop doing it is kind of the message here. So, well, that's weird. So I just noticed that Facebook allows me, for anybody that happens to be on a webcam, that I can bring them on the show if I want. I'm not going to, so don't freak out. But if you're watching me on Facebook and have a webcam, I guess that's something we can do in the future. We'll have to try that out one of these days. And how interesting would that be to have this open conversation about different topics, and to bring some of you in that really are experts in your field, and to have that conversation. Or maybe you're just starting out in whatever it is you're doing, and you want to start having this conversation, and we're able to interact in a live fashion to where, you know, maybe I can help you with what I know. You know, maybe I'm not going to help you with everything, but maybe I can help you with what I know, and that would actually help somebody else that might be watching. So that might be something we have to do in the future with some of you guys that are willing to have a conversation about whatever it is you're doing, if it relates to something I can do. A lot of people get confused with how I help professionals when it comes to, like, their social media and making themselves, you know, we call it branding yourself, and how I do that when I'm not an expert in their field. Well, I'm not an expert in their field. I'm an expert in my field. And so I help them understand what they need to do, which are building these foundations so that they become like a magnet to people that are looking for whatever it is they do, right? So we'll go back to using like a real estate agent. A real estate agent that only shares links to properties is like, all that does for me personally is make sure that somewhere in there it's implanted in my head that they are at least in real estate. So for some of you it's not a negative thing. For anybody that's been in the business for, you know, years, and you're already seen as that authority, it's okay to maybe do that. But for somebody that's starting out, you know, and I know you're starting out, it's very evident, sharing links doesn't do it for me personally, and it doesn't do it for most people, because I can go on to, you know, Zillow and some of the other real estate websites and look at properties. If I'm truly in the market, I'm already doing that. The problem that I personally have, I'll just use myself as an example with real estate, is that I have hundreds of friends that live in my great state of Michigan that sell real estate. And so who do I choose? You know, if I'm serious, let's say I'm serious about selling my home. You know, I want somebody that knows what the heck they're doing. that's providing value to me and showing me that they are the authority in my particular market. And so them sharing links doesn't do it for me. They're not an authority. They're good at copying and pasting. They've mastered that one skill. They haven't mastered the skill of real estate, at least to my mind. And so this really goes for any profession, but if all you're doing is sharing links, for most of the population, that doesn't show you as an authority. It just shows them that you're in the game. But when I'm serious about, let's say in real estate, trying to sell my own property or purchase a property, I want somebody that is the authority. So how does somebody that's new to whatever industry they're in this case real estate, how do they start to show that they know what they're doing? Well, they start to do it by providing valuable content. And what the hell does that mean, to some people? Well, they don't share links, or if they do it very sparingly. What they do is they share value. For example, especially if they're really good at writing, or we call it copy. So if they're really good at writing, they're gonna maybe share, 2 or 3 tips, on their personal profile page of, the top 3 things that home sellers can do to make their home sell fast. What are the 3 things that you can do for less than $100 to sell your house, or to stand out, or whatever? Writing that kind of content, or providing, let's say, a personalized video similar to that, that's powerful. That's stuff that people want. Now you're more of an authority than just a glorified link clicker or paster. So same thing in whatever industry you're in. If you have passion and you have a career, then that's the kind of stuff you should be doing, right? You shouldn't be sharing your goofy, funny pictures or sharing somebody else's stuff. You should be sharing what you know as an expert in what you do, so that when your employer or people that may employ you in the future, or your potential clients, customers, and so on, when they come and look up who you are, they realize that you're all in. You're in the game. You're the authority. And it doesn't matter what it is. It doesn't matter what you do. I mean, you could be somebody who cuts hair, right? And if all you did was, post, hey, I cut hair, or, that doesn't do it for me, right? But if you did, by the way, I cut my own. God took care of this part right here, right? God took care of this part of the old hair, so I'm not in the market for somebody to cut my hair. I can handle that, because I just got to worry about the side. God took care of the rest. But if that was your trade, then you could provide a lot of good, valuable content about, what shampoos are the best out there, or, why doing certain things in your diet helps your hair be healthier, or so much value that people would start to seek you out because they know you're all in, that you are the authority or the expert in your field. Same thing for people that are, I know a lot of my friends from the automotive industry. They're engineers, they're quality managers. Same thing. If people would do this, they would be actually helping the world a lot more than what they're actually using social media for. So there's a little mini masterclass for some of you guys that are trying to use social media for your business. You got to switch it up. You got to provide value, and you got to stop being weird. Being weird is sharing links, sharing your income, which is really super weird, showing off your fancy cars and homes, and tying that to your business or whatever it is you do. It's just weird, right? Even people who travel, right? It's people who are super successful and they're all over the place. It's like every time they say, because of this business, I'm able to have this life of freedom. even that's kind of weird, right? Matter of fact, it's inspiring, but in some respect, but it actually has a reverse effect on most people. Eventually they get to where they kind of hate you a little. Like, yeah, I know, you're great, I suck. You're awesome, I'm not. You know what I mean? But you could still be sharing pictures and, hey, today I'm in whatever, and what a beautiful place, and it's great. And never talk about the fact that the reason you're there is because of whatever your business is that you do. You know, people will connect those dots for you anyways. You don't have to tell them that, you know, because of my wonderful choices and how awesome I am, I'm able to, you know, work from the beach. It's just weird. So, you know, stop being weird. Stop showing people your income. Stop, you know, making all these different claims. Stop telling everybody. Stop showing, you know, that your supplement X cured, you know, cancer, which it didn't. You know, that it cured whatever was ailing you. It's weird. And it's regulated, so you kind of can't do it anyways. Eventually, when you become super successful, you're going to get a big slap on the hand, or what you've seen with a lot of these companies that are out there now. You know, they're finding themselves in a lot of legal trouble because of their claims that they've made. There's a ton of companies out there in the cryptocurrency world that you don't have to do a lot of searching to find most of them, in, you know, going through very big legal issues all over the world. Not just here in the United States, all over the world they're in trouble. Because they made claims that weren't true, and now they're paying the price legally. And I find one of the industries that I'm really afraid of right now is sorry, I'm slightly distracted by this really awesome sweat line going on here, which is really weird. So I wear black shirts almost all the time, and today I got a little brave to throw on the CrossFit Open shirt from First Generation Team, whatever we were called, Red, I guess, the Red Team. And I know I kind of squirrel all over the place with my conversations, but the reason I put this shirt on is because even in January when I started this process, I couldn't wear this shirt. It didn't fit. I was too fat. So I just wanted to see if it fit, and it did, so screw it. I'm riding with it. Funky sweat lines and all. But yeah, there's a lot of people out there in a lot of trouble because of their claims and all that. So the newest industry is this hemp industry. So CBD oil is super popular right now. It started into the network marketing world with a company called Canaway, and I joined that company actually. I was like the first 50 people I was in. I was told about it before it launched, and I got in pretty early. Found out that they really were trying to promote a vaping product, and as an ex-smoker, it wasn't a smart thing for me to be in. And though I thought the product probably was okay, not that part, but their actual CBD oils was probably going to be okay, I just didn't want to associate myself with the vaping side of it. So as an ex-smoker, it wasn't going to be good for me. But you know, that was probably 5 years ago when that company came out. And now, years later, you know, there's hundreds of them out there. And there's companies that are selling in gas stations. And the government's already cracking down on them because of claims, because people are saying that it's curing this, curing that. And I know a lot of you are really excited about being in that industry, and you're seeing people claiming to have success making money, and maybe the little hippie or stoner in you is all pumped up because now it's something that maybe you believe in, which, by the way, industrial hemp CBD has no THC, so there's no hallucinogenic properties of it. So nobody's getting high. with it. But what we're finding is that there's a lot of really bad, I'm going to use the president's language, there's a lot of bad hombres out there. And, you know, because the supplement market is not very well regulated, there's a lot of companies out there selling oils that actually are saying they have a certain level of CBD in them, potency and or levels total, and they don't. Some don't have any. And when you look at their language, they're not even saying they do, but it looks like they do. So they have the big word CBD, but when you look at the label closer, and they're not even claiming to have any. So it's an unfortunate industry that I think a lot of people are going to get in a lot of trouble personally. And don't think that just because, let's say you're in a network marketing company, that you won't personally be taken to court, because there's enough case study out there now showing that, yes, the company will not stand behind you when you are making false claims. Hey, Tina, I haven't seen you in a while. Sorry, guys, I do that every so. I know that's distracting, but I just noticed one of my friends on Twitch just joined in. Haven't seen her. Awesome. So yeah, so the hemp industry, the CBD oil industry, to be specific, that one is very popular. If I was you, and you were considering getting in that game, do your research. That's very important, but don't just do your research. If you were to take my specific advice, don't get in it. It's not the industry to be in. You know, I just, there's too much that's going to happen. People are making crazy claims of what it's doing for them personally, and I can't say that it's real or not. A lot of it sounds like bullshit. I know that they aren't supposed to be saying the things they're saying. And of course, then you're going to start seeing super popularity. It's going to put more eyes on the industry, you know, from the government onto that industry. And you're just going to see a lot of things that are really not going to make you happy, and probably turn you off to some of these home-based business opportunities that you could have. And, you know, unless you're just powerfully in it already. You know, I have a friend of mine, Amy. She's been in the game. She was in the game for personal reasons for her son before any of this was happening. And so for her to be representing a CBD company is a lot different than, you know, my church friend Mary, who, you know, wouldn't even have a drink of alcohol in her life. Now all of a sudden she's the CBD expert online. It's weird. I guess that's probably more of the theme of today's ride, is don't be weird, right? People will know when you're being weird, by the way, and you'll turn them off and they'll unfollow you. Let me give you an example when I was weird. There's a lot of them. So when I left my first successful network marketing company, the one that I really took off on, one of the companies I joined, because I really wanted to understand how this business worked. I started to have success, and I wanted to see everything. And I'm going to be very specific here, just because I need to make this point. So I joined a company called Nerium because friends of mine were in it. And I wanted to be on their team and learn more from them, or help them in some cases. And so I joined. I didn't last very long. But their big product line was like face cream and stuff like, or whatever, right? I'm not using face cream. It's super weird that I'd be in that company. I was in another company that was super weird. But you'd have to know me to realize that it was weird that I was even in that company. And I was in it for the business opportunity, and I was in it for the leadership. I really didn't care what the products were. I wanted to get close to a couple people that were in the company. One was, I think his name was Holton Bugs, and the other one was Cedric Harris, which I was already friends with. But it was a coffee company. Now, I'm not opposed to coffee, but I'm not a coffee addict, right? But I justified it because I wanted to be with those leaders. But the people that knew me very well are like, wait a minute, you don't drink coffee like every day. You're not like a big coffee person, so why in the hell are you promoting coffee? So just realize that, again, just think about things when you're doing it. Don't be weird. You know, I understand there's a lot, you can try to justify in your head why, you know, you could have a lot of different stores. I know there are people out there that have more of a general store and they have a brick and mortar type operation where they do sell what the customers want and it may not be what they use. But if you're trying to justify that with your home-based business and the reason that you're selling everything, just realize it's kind of weird. Don't be weird. Right? And so, like for me, the most successful company that I've been a part of was a weight loss company. They didn't like to call themselves a weight loss company, but that was why people were showing up. And, you know, they were a lifestyle company. But the reason I was successful in that particular company is because it wasn't weird. I was using the products, having results. You could see the results. And, of course, it wasn't weird to have that conversation because only the people that came to me through my methods of attraction marketing, they were looking for what I was actually offering. It was more weird if I couldn't offer it to them, right? If I couldn't help them, if I couldn't get them involved, if I couldn't help them help other people. That was actually weird if I couldn't do that because people came to me through attraction marketing. I didn't have to go to them. And that's kind of a little bit of a secret of what I've always done and what I was seeking from the beginning for over 20 years was the idea of attraction marketing and not this other method of marketing, which is pushing to everybody, right? Not looking to push my product, not getting on the phone and calling people and saying, hey, you know, I would have that conversation in person if I happened to talk to you or if we were on the phone, but I didn't subscribe to the idea of make a list and call your friends and harass them until they join. It's not how I did it. Even though, fun fact, the first time I joined a network marketing company, that's actually how I joined. My aunt and uncle were all in, and I hate to be specific, but they were all in on Amway. And they were all in when it came to the products that they used. They loved the vitamins. They felt great using their morning vitamin pack. That was what my uncle loved. He got in shape, by the way, and it was kind of cool. But they were being told not to push product, to push opportunity. And so, of course, I was very young. I was 20 nothing, and they said, "Hey, would you do me a solid and come to a meeting?" Went to the meeting, wasn't interested. Before you know it, I'm getting multiple phone calls, which I love my aunt and uncle. I love them to death. But now it's getting weird. And I remember saying, "What's it going to take for you to stop calling me?" And they said, "Well, join. As soon as you join, we won't call you again. We don't have to call you again, or we won't call you again, or it won't be the same, or whatever it was." And I'm like, here's my credit card. Order me some toilet paper, I guess. The only thing I could see in the whole list of things, that toilet paper and toothpaste was the only thing on their product list that I thought, what the heck, I already buy it. Might as well buy it from this deal now. And they did honor that. They didn't. That's what it took. I signed up. They stopped calling. And I was happy to sign up to help them once I finally did, but I was really doing it for them to stop calling me. So that tactic actually worked. However, even though they stopped calling me, what ended up happening is their upline started calling me instead, and then I just got pissed. And I ended up stopping. Once I had about 10 packs of toilet paper in my house, because I wasn't using as much as they were sending on auto ship, I was done. I decided this is silly, and of course I shut the account down. But funny enough, I ended up joining Amway one more time in my life. So in the 90s, I had an engineering friend that had 18 years in General Motors, and he was retiring because he was so successful in Amway. And of course that piqued my interest. And so I showed up to another meeting and really thought, well, this is a good option for me, because I was very successful in what I did in my career in and around General Motors, but I wasn't satisfied with it. I wanted to be responsible for me and not have somebody else tell me what I was worth. And so I always had the attraction into the industry, so I joined again. Problem was they still wanted you to harass your friends, and that's not what I was trying to do. It's not what I wanted to do. And as much as they pushed and prodded, I wasn't going to do it. But I will tell you, that second time around, though I didn't last long, it made me kind of fall in love with what network marketing can do for some people. And this isn't a network marketing pitch, because that's not really the main group I work with anymore. But it's just kind of let you understand my journey a little, because I know a lot of you have done it too. You've joined companies. You may not want to call it network marketing or multi-level marketing, because somebody's kind of fooled you into thinking it wasn't, or how to use different words, but very large percentage of the people I know have been involved one way or the other. And we all have this reason that we even considered it. Whether that was more financial freedom or time freedom, that was maybe the bigger goal. But we all have a different reason of what was attractive to us. But the inner side of what I started to fall in love with was the training. So, I went to the Amway Grand to a couple of different meetings, wore my suit, did all the stuff, kind of felt like a professional when I was in my early 20s and was feeling good, and really started getting introduced to a lot of the business training that made me extremely successful at General Motors and other companies I worked with that worked around General Motors. That training was very powerful for me. And so even though I didn't stay in network marketing forever, and I had a lot of years in between different opportunities, the personal growth that I had with all that training was, you couldn't pay enough money for it. So I've always had an affection for that group out there, and because I've always felt like there's a lot of people out there that don't have the opportunity to go to college like I did, don't have time to spend time or money to be able to go to university. And I think that there's enough training in some of these companies that actually is even better than what a lot of people get at university. So we'll leave that alone. But even though I didn't last long the second time around, for me, it had a lot more to do with, it wasn't a product line that made sense to me, so I couldn't really stand behind it. They had some minimum order requirements that was stuff I didn't need or want, and so that was always weird. When companies do that to you, it's just weird. But to each their own. We all need vacuum salesmen in our life, I guess, and those are the people that don't care what they sell, they just sell. I'm just not built that way, so I don't do it that way. So again, theme of this ride is don't be weird. And if you've been on for the entire ride, you'll know that I started off today with being like, I don't want to be here, I don't feel good. I ate some bacon pizza last night and I feel like shit for doing so, and I don't know why I did it, other than there was some guru out there in marketing that knew that fat guys like bacon and eventually you'll say yes. But I'm reminded the morning after why I shouldn't be doing that. Woo! I know we were rambling on today on Friday, just kind of going all over the place. Appreciate you guys taking the time to sit here with me and listen. For some of you, hopefully it was of value to you. For those of you that it wasn't, hey, maybe we'll talk about something that you want to talk about Monday. I don't know. For me, I appreciate everybody, because you guys hold me accountable to get up and do this. So even like a morning like today when I didn't want to do it, look at me now. We're just coming into the final 30 seconds or so of the ride. And I can tell you that in 2018, I wouldn't have been doing this. So I appreciate you guys for being there, pushing me along the way, chiming in, making sure I know you're still out there, Tina and some of the other people on Twitch, my family here and friends on Facebook that put up with my crazy ass. We will be getting in a little bit more in the next couple of days. You'll start seeing a little bit more about my masterclass that I'll be training on starting this coming Monday for the 6 biggest struggles of online marketers with my friend Ivan Alvarez. That is a paid for course. It'll be running Monday through Friday, and then we'll be finishing it up next Sunday. We'll be announcing the time probably this coming Sunday night. The links will start going live later on today and or tomorrow for you to sign up for that course. It's going to be powerful information for a lot of you people out there that are trying to figure out how to market your business online and how to get over not only identifying the struggles that you're having, but giving you the solutions. And so I'll be teaching 3 of the 6 courses, and Ivan will be picking up the other 3. And Ivan is a master at getting you past you. And so it's going to be exciting. I'm honored, obviously, to be a part of it and look forward to sharing that with you guys. And we've hit our hour, so it's time for me to crank it up, right? Let's see what we can knock out. I don't think we're getting to 1,000 today, though. Maybe. Oh, that was enough. All right, guys, thanks for holding me accountable and being here today. I love you, and we will see you on Monday. Peace.